In this video, I'm giving you 100 questions that create unforgettable conversations on a date, guaranteeing you another date. You don't need to remember them all. Pick 3 to 5 that you like best. Bruh, you ready? Let's get it. The first set of questions are probing questions. They'll help you begin to explore your date on a deeper level. More importantly, she'll be impressed by your ability to carry on a conversation. How do you define happiness? What are you passionate about? What's something you've always wanted to try? What do you value in a partner? How do you feel about compromise? What do you find fulfilling? What was the last book you read that impacted you? What's your biggest fear? What are your deal breakers in a relationship? How do you handle disagreements? Do you believe in destiny? What's a moment in time that changed your life? What's the most difficult decision you're glad you made? What traditions are important to you? How do you feel about vulnerability? What are some things you wish people knew about you? How do you approach self-care? What gives you the deepest sense of joy? How do you approach forgiveness? What would you say is the hardest part of being you? What's the most courageous thing you've ever done? What's one thing about yourself that you've come to embrace over time? What's a principle you'll never compromise on? What's an assumption that people make about you that's wrong? Tell me about any dreams you've set aside. What brings you peace? What's been your most transformative experience? What's a cuisine you'd love to master? How do you express affection? What's the best advice you've ever received? What's your favorite type of art? How do you recharge after a long day? Tell me about your taste in music and how it has evolved. This isn't a ping pong conversation, but keep in mind, you may need to be ready to answer these questions as well. It's a conversational norm for you to ask someone a question and they follow up and ask you the same question. One rule though, bruh, no one-word answers. Give the question some thought and answer it by sharing your answer with passion and insight. Now, let's consider thought-provoking questions about her background, her hobbies, and career. When you ask probing questions, you're digging into how she thinks. These questions will be more along the line of what she does or how she chooses what she likes to do. Now you're showing you care about what she does as well as how she thinks. What's the backstory behind your favorite hobby? Have you traveled anywhere that changed your perspective? What's a project you're currently working on? What's the most challenging aspect of your career? What's a hobby you'd love to start? What's your favorite type of book to read? Who are you closest to in your family? What is the most rewarding part of your job? Is there a place you live that was impactful on your life? What was your favorite subject in school? Who's been the most influential person in your career? What's your favorite workshop or class that you've taken? How do you balance your passion and your work? What part of your heritage are you most connected to? What's one career tool that you can't live without? What subject in school impacted your career choice? Which of your passions brings you the most joy? What first ignited your passion for your job? Was there an event that most impacted your career path? Is there a skill you've recently rediscovered? How do you handle work-life balance? Has your family been supportive of your career? Is there a family trait you see in your work ethic? Have you considered turning your hobby into a business? How do you stay motivated in your job? How does your cultural background influence your daily habits? What do you turn to for inspiration? What's a background story you wish more people knew about you? What's the most unexpected skill your job has taught you? Which of your hobbies challenge you the most? What cultural aspect of your background do you cherish the most? What was the biggest cultural shock that you've ever experienced? And how does your career impact your daily routine? Those questions are going to make her think about what she does each day and how she handles it. Whether it's her career, hobby, family, or culture, these are things that she applies each day, and she'll find these questions quite considerate. Okay, so adults still like fun. Ask her questions that inspire fun conversations. What's your go-to karaoke song? If you could have dinner with any 3 people, who would they be? What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done? If you were an animal, what would you be? What is your guilty pleasure TV show? If you could travel in time, where and when would you go? Which fictional character do you relate to the most? What's your favorite dessert? What's the weirdest food you've ever tried? Did you like it? What's your favorite board game? Ever had a supernatural experience? If you could change anything about your body, what would it be? Who is the coolest famous person you've ever met? Where's your dream travel destination? If you had a theme song, what would it be? What fictional place would you live in? What's your favorite dance move? Who is your spirit animal? What's the weirdest dream you can remember? If you could be a character in a movie, who would it be? Ever been on a spontaneous trip? What's a hidden gem that you love in your city? What's your favorite season and why? If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? If you won the lottery, what's the first thing you would buy? Psh, what is your secret talent? If you had a robot that could do anything, what would you make it do? What's your lucky number and why? If you could be any age for a week, what age would you choose? You're off to a deserted island. What 3 items do you take? Do you prefer a beach vacation or a mountain retreat? What song makes you dance no matter where you are? Which card or board game do you dominate? And you can't say spades because I dominate spades. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? And guess what mine is? Good stuff, right? Fun questions take the pressure off. You're enjoying each other's company, having a great time together, and getting to know what both of you like to do for fun. Questions provoke thought, and they show you're interested in who she really is and what she's all about. One pro tip, don't overdo one topic. Talk about the topic to the extent the conversation is flowing and interesting, but be willing to take a chance and transition in the flow of conversation from something that's thought-provoking to something that's fun, or vice versa. You may have just asked her, what's the most rewarding part of your job? Let's say she responds, travel, and you discuss it a bit. When that conversation is fading, or you can tell it's time to transition, you may consider, okay, so you love to travel. What fictional place would you live in? You're not making the entire conversation about one topic, and you're transitioning from one type of question to another. It's a great conversational flow. So if you'd like to refer to these questions, I'm going to share a link with a free template with all 100 of these date night questions. Feel free to add your own. When you're enjoying good company and having conversations, all you need is a few good questions to keep the date flowing. If you ask her what's her superpower and she asks you the same question, make sure you tell her that charisma is definitely your superpower.